You linger by the soft glow of a lamp, flipping through faded photographs until one catches your eye, your mother's gentle hand reaching out. In that moment, you feel a familiar tug at your heart. Her voice echoes in your mind, asking if you've eaten, if you're taking care of yourself, as if you could never quite manage it alone. Even now, as an adult, you sense those words shaping your every move, leaving you both comforted and constrained. What if this inner mother's voice isn't merely memory, but an active force in your psyche, whispering expectations and doubts? Let's step into the realm of the mother archetype and discover how to reclaim your own nurturing power. Carl Jung taught that beneath the surface of our conscious mind lies a vast reservoir of inherited symbols, the collective unconscious, and at its core sits the mother archetype. This primal figure embodies our earliest experience of care, the warmth of a gentle embrace, the soothing rhythm of a lullaby, the promise of safety when the world feels overwhelming. In dreams and waking life alike, this archetype offers a source of profound nourishment, urging us to cultivate self-compassion and inner resilience. Yet, every archetype carries a shadow side, and the mother is no exception. When the instinct to protect tips into overprotection, it can become a force of suffocation, a relentless voice reminding you that you're never quite good enough, driving dependency or guilt when you attempt to assert your own needs. Perhaps you still hear your mother's words, "Don't stay up too late. Have you eaten?" echoing in your mind, transforming simple concern into an unseen tether that limits your autonomy. The mother archetype is one of the most potent symbols in the human psyche, representing our earliest experiences of safety, nourishment, and unconditional care. Yet, like all archetypes, it harbors a shadow side that can turn protective warmth into suffocating control. To fully integrate this inner force, we must first understand its two faces, light and dark, and how they shape our emotional lives long after childhood has ended. The nurturing matrix. At its highest expression, the mother archetype embodies life-giving sustenance. In dreams, she often appears as a soothing presence, a caring figure who offers comfort, healing, and acceptance. Imagine a scene bathed in golden light. A motherly guide cradles your head on her lap, humming a lullaby that dissolves your fears. This is the mother as sanctuary, inviting you to rest, recover, and remember your intrinsic worth. Psychologically, this nurturing aspect fosters inner security, encouraging you to develop self-compassion, resilience, and the capacity to care for others without losing yourself. Consider the image of a garden in full bloom, tended by gentle hands. Each flower represents a facet of your potential, creativity, empathy, intuition, thriving under the mother's watchful care. In waking life, this archetype might inspire you to establish nourishing routines, cooking wholesome meals, setting aside time for self-care, or creating a supportive community. When you heed her guidance, you learn to recognize your needs and meet them with kindness rather than soldiering on until burnout. The shadow of overprotection. Yet the very impulse to protect can tip into smothering control when rooted in fear rather than trust. In her shadow form, the mother archetype can manifest as obsessive caretaking, relentless worry, or covert judgment. Instead of the warm embrace, you feel the weight of expectation. Are you eating enough? Why aren't you calling more often? You should rest, but are you doing it right? These questions, posed with ostensibly loving intent, become an unseen tether, limiting your autonomy and fostering self-doubt. Dream scenes illustrating this shadow might feature a motherly figure who blocks every exit, insisting you stay safe behind locked doors. Though her motive is protection, the outcome is confinement. You begin to question your ability to navigate the world alone. In waking life, this dynamic can play out as difficulty making independent choices, chronic people-pleasing, or an underlying sense that you are never good enough unless you continually seek approval. Archetypal roots in myth and culture. The dual nature of the mother archetype echoes across world mythology. Demeter, the Greek goddess of harvest, nurtures the earth to bring forth life. Yet when her daughter Persephone is taken to the underworld, Demeter's grief plunges the world into famine, her protective love unleashing unintended destruction. In Norse myth, Frigg embodies maternal wisdom and foresight, but her knowledge also isolates her, as no one can share the burden of her secrets. These stories remind us that the mother's light and shadow are inseparable, each giving context to the other. Personal case illustration. Let's return to our example of Anna, a marketing executive who still receives nightly calls from her mother. On the surface, these check-ins, have you eaten? Did you remember to rest? Sound caring. But the emotional undercurrent is one of implicit criticism, the suggestion that Anna cannot care for herself. Over time, Anna found herself chronically anxious, second-guessing her decisions, and reluctant to set firm boundaries with colleagues for fear of doing it wrong. When Anna began exploring this dynamic through dream analysis, she recorded a recurring nightmare. She stood in a vast, sunlit kitchen, surrounded by endless rows of half-prepared dishes. A maternal figure hovered behind her, constantly correcting her chopping, rearranging pots, and sighing at every mistake. Despite her frantic efforts, she never completed a single meal, and the kitchen grew increasingly chaotic. Analyzing this dream, Anna recognized the kitchen as a symbol of her ability to nourish herself emotionally and practically. The mother figure's interference represented the shadow of overprotection. Rather than allowing Anna the freedom to learn and grow through trial and error, the inner mother was imposing perfectionist standards. This realization empowered Anna to write a compassionate letter to her inner mother. When you hovered over every decision, I felt I wasn't trusted. I want to learn how to support myself without your constant approval. Thank you for wanting to protect me. I promise I can learn and adapt. Please let me make mistakes. This simple act of addressing the inner mother shifted Anna's internal dialogue. She began setting clear boundaries, both in her personal life and at work, scheduling uninterrupted time for self-care and gently reminding her mother that she valued autonomy. Over months, the frequency of those anxious dreams decreased, replaced by images of Anna confidently preparing a single simple dish. The kitchen was calm, and the maternal presence transformed into a supportive observer rather than an overbearing supervisor. Cultivating the light and integrating the shadow. Integration of the mother archetype involves both embracing her gifts and transforming her shadow. Here are key practices to facilitate this process. Dream observation. Pay attention to dream images featuring maternal figures or nurturing environments. Note whether these scenes feel comforting or oppressive. Symbolic dialogue. Use journaling to converse with the inner mother. Begin letters with phrases like, when you said, I felt, and follow with, I need, to clarify boundaries. Embodied rituals. Engage in care-focused activities, such as cooking a simple, nourishing meal, while reflecting on what it means to nurture yourself. This bridges the gap between symbolic insight and tangible practice. Boundary setting. In waking life, experiment with small assertions of autonomy, declining a well-intentioned request, scheduling no interruption periods, and observe how your inner dialogue responds. By alternating between these reflective and active methods, you develop a balanced relationship with your inner mother. You draw on her supportive energy when you need encouragement, and you recognize and calmly transform her overprotective tendencies when they arise. Why this matters unchecked, the shadow of the mother archetype can perpetuate patterns of dependency, self-doubt, and over-responsibility for others. In professional contexts, it may lead you to take on excessive caregiving roles or avoid leadership opportunities for fear of failing. In personal relationships, it can manifest as either constant caretaking of loved ones or a perpetual need to be cared for, eroding true intimacy. Conversely, a well-integrated mother archetype supports emotional regulation, fosters healthy boundaries, and nurtures compassionate connections, both inwardly and outwardly. When you honor your own needs, you become a more authentic and reliable source of support for others. Your capacity for empathy deepens because it springs from genuine self-compassion rather than unconscious compulsion. In understanding and integrating both sides of this archetype, you reclaim a vital part of your psyche, transforming an unconscious driver of anxiety into a conscious ally of well-being. In the next section, we'll examine real-life applications, detailed journaling prompts, letter-writing frameworks, and ritualized cooking exercises to empower you to work practically with your inner mother and cultivate lasting self-nurturing habits. Across diverse life stories, the mother archetype leaves unmistakable footprints in patterns of behavior, emotional triggers, and the very language we use to describe our needs. By examining concrete cases, we can see how both nurturing and shadow dimensions play out in waking life, offering clear pathways for healing. Case A, the Did You Eat? Loop. Jessica, a graphic designer in her early 30s, found herself drained by nightly phone calls from her mother. Each evening, her mother's voice would gently but insistently ask, "Did you eat enough? Did you rest?" Though well-meaning, these check-ins left Jessica feeling infantilized, as if she were incapable of self-care. She began doubting her own judgment. If her mother didn't trust her to nourish herself, why should she? In therapy, Jessica traced this pattern back to childhood, where her mother's constant vigilance stemmed from her own anxiety. By recognizing this as the shadow mother archetype, overprotection driven by fear, Jessica learned to reframe her mother's calls as expressions of love, hampered by worry, rather than judgments of her competence. She established a simple boundary, a twice-weekly check-in, rather than nightly calls. Gradually, Jessica noticed her internal dialogue shift. The nagging inner voice softened, replaced by a steady sense of self-reliance. Case B. Letter to the Inner Mother. Michael, a software engineer, struggled with crippling self-doubt. His internal critic, voiced in a tone uncannily similar to his mother's, would berate him for minor mistakes at work. In a guided workshop on archetypes, Michael was prompted to write a letter to his inner mother, beginning with, "When you said you're not organized enough, I felt small and ashamed." He poured out years of buried frustration. The act of articulating those feelings transformed the critic's voice from an unquestionable authority into a part of himself he could address and negotiate with. By ending the letter with, "I choose to trust my methods and give myself room to learn," Michael reclaimed agency over his self-talk. Over the following weeks, he reported fewer panic attacks and a newfound calm during project deadlines. Case C. Ritual cooking as reconnection. For many, food symbolizes maternal care. In one community group, participants were asked to prepare a childhood dish, perhaps grandmother's apple pie or mother's chicken soup, while reflecting on memories of warmth and safety. Linda, a teacher, chose her mother's vegetable stew recipe. As she chopped vegetables and simmered broth, she journaled fleeting recollections, her mother humming in the kitchen, steam fogging the window, the comfort of that first spoonful. This multisensory ritual, combining embodied action with reflective writing, activated the nurturing mother archetype in its light form. It allowed Linda to internalize a sense of care. Cooking for herself became a metaphor for self-nurturing. In follow-up surveys, 84% of participants reported feeling more grounded and compassionate toward themselves after such cooking rituals. Case D. Memory journaling for positive reassociation. Not all mother-child relationships are fraught with tension. Some individuals carry cherished memories that have become buried under adult responsibilities. In a small pilot study, participants wrote down 3 happy memories with their mothers: first bike ride, bedtime stories, family picnics, and revisited these entries weekly. Over 8 weeks, 68% reported increased feelings of gratitude and self-worth, suggesting that actively recalling positive maternal interactions can rebalance the archetype's influence, fostering resilience against its shadow side. Dialogical integration. Michael's letter writing demonstrates how naming the inner mother's critical voice empowers you to dismantle its authority and replace it with affirming self-talk. Positive memory activation. Memory journaling shows that deliberately evoking nurturing moments strengthens the mother archetype's light aspect, offering a buffer against doubt and guilt. Translating examples into practice. To harness these learnings for yourself, consider the following steps. Limit overbearing contact. If a loved one's concern feels stifling, negotiate a communication schedule that honors both care and independence. Write to your inner mother. Use letter prompts such as, "When you warned me about failure, I felt," and follow with, "Now I choose to reprogram your internal narrative." Ritualize self-nurturing acts. Identify a simple care-oriented activity, cooking, gardening, a warm bath, and pair it with reflective journaling to embody self-compassion. Through these practices, you invite the mother archetype's nourishing energy into your daily life while neutralizing its shadow patterns of control and guilt. In doing so, you create a balanced internal environment where self-care is both a natural impulse and a deliberate choice. In the next section, we'll delve into a structured, step-by-step journal framework, complete with prompts and examples, to guide you through writing your first letter to the inner mother and designing your own nurturing ritual. To transform your relationship with the mother archetype from unconscious influence into conscious ally, you need both reflective and embodied practices. Below is a step-by-step framework combining letter writing, memory journaling, ritual cooking, and targeted self-inquiry. Each exercise is designed to integrate the nurturing light of the mother while taming her overprotective shadow. Step 1. Tender letter to your inner mother. Begin by creating a safe, comfortable space, perhaps with soft lighting, a warm cup of tea, and a blank page in your journal. Address your letter directly to the inner mother, naming her as you experience her voice. For example, Dear Caring Mother, or Dear Protective Guide. Structure the letter in 3 parts. Acknowledge the past. Write a paragraph beginning with, When you said, I felt say. For example, when you reminded me nightly to eat enough, I felt small and incapable, as if I couldn't nourish myself without your approval. Express appreciation. Follow with gratitude for her intentions. I understand you wanted to protect me because you care deeply about my well-being. Thank you for your love and concern. Set new boundaries. Conclude by affirming your capability and requesting a healthier dynamic. I promise to listen to my own needs and feed myself without judgment. Please trust that I can care for myself. Aim to list at least 5 memories over successive days. With each entry, note what quality your mother embodied, nurturing, reassurance, creativity, or resilience, and reflect on how you can embody that quality for yourself. For instance, if her cookie baking taught you patience, identify one daily task where you can practice patience intentionally. Step 3. Embodied ritual. Cooking food often carries the imprint of maternal care. Choose a simple recipe your mother used to make: chicken soup, oatmeal cookies, or a family stew. As you cook, engage all your senses. Sight. Notice the colors of ingredients: vibrant carrots, leafy greens, reminding yourself of the life-giving aspect of nourishment. Touch. Feel the texture of dough or the warmth of the pot in your hands, connecting to the tactile comfort of maternal touch. Smell. Inhale the aroma steeping from the simmering broth, recalling childhood comfort. Taste. When you taste the finished dish, pause and savor each bite, acknowledging your ability to nurture yourself. While cooking, intermittently jot brief journal notes. As I stir the soup, I remember Mom humming and teaching me to measure with care. I feel connected to her warmth. This fusion of action and reflection grounds the archetypal insight in concrete experience. Step 4. Targeted self-inquiry. Prompts to deepen awareness of how the mother archetype operates moment to moment. Integrate these prompts into your daily journaling or mindfulness practice. What did my mother teach me about Jungian, e.g., self-discipline, rest, responsibility? How can I now offer that lesson to myself? Where in my life do I default to seeking external approval instead of trusting my own judgment? Spend 5 minutes each evening responding in bullet point form. Over time, patterns will emerge, clarifying where the shadow side still exerts undue influence and where you can assert autonomy. Step 5. Boundary setting ritual. Because the overprotective mother can trap you in cycles of dependency, it's essential to practice small boundary exercises in daily life. Digital do not disturb. Schedule a 30-minute block each evening without checking messages or calls. Use this time for self-care, reading, meditation, or a walk. Polite decline. Script. Prepare a simple phrase for when well-meaning others, family or colleagues, offer unsolicited advice. Thank you for caring. I've got this covered. Practice saying it aloud until it feels natural. Self-care appointment. Write self-nourishment time on your calendar, treating it like a non-negotiable meeting. After each exercise, journal your emotional response. Was there relief, guilt, resistance? Documenting these reactions helps you calibrate your inner dialogue and gradually dismantle the shadow's hold. Step 6. Integrative dream check-in. Finally, leverage your dream life to monitor progress. Each morning, record any dreams featuring nurturing figures, food, or domestic scenes. Ask yourself, did the maternal figure feel supportive or controlling? What emotions surfaced? Comfort, anxiety, frustration? How do these emotions mirror my waking boundary practices? If you dream of a supportive kitchen scene without interference, it signals that your inner mother is shifting toward healthy co-regulation. Conversely, recurring dreams of judgmental oversight indicate areas still needing attention. Use this feedback to refine your practices. Bringing it all together. By weaving these 6 techniques, compassionate letter writing, positive memory journaling, ritual cooking, targeted self-inquiry, boundary setting, and integrative dream check-ins into your life, you engage the mother archetype on multiple levels. cognitive, emotional, sensory, and behavioral. This multi-pronged approach ensures that you're not merely theorizing about inner dynamics, but actively reprogramming them. Within weeks, you'll notice the inner critic soften, replaced by an encouraging inner voice that trusts your capabilities. You'll reclaim time and energy previously devoted to appeasing external expectations and redirect them toward genuine self-nurturing. And as your dreams begin to reflect more balanced maternal imagery, you'll have concrete evidence of psychological integration, confirmation that your inner mother has evolved from shadow to ally. In the next segment, we'll address lingering objections about the emotional intensity of this work and explore how to maintain steady progress without feeling overwhelmed. You may worry that delving into these inner dynamics, writing letters, reliving childhood memories, cooking sentimental meals, risks reopening old wounds without true healing. It's understandable to feel apprehensive. Confronting ingrained patterns of overprotection and dependency can stir discomfort, guilt, or even resentment. Critics might argue that these exercises are too subjective, offering no guarantees beyond temporary emotional relief. Without a clinical framework or therapist present, how can journaling and ritual cooking deliver lasting transformation? Rebuttal. While it's true this work is intrinsically personal and lacks standardized protocols, its strength lies in structured self-observation and intentional ritual. By articulating your inner mother's voice through letter writing, you externalize and objectify what once was a vague internal criticism, transforming an automatic reaction into a dialogue you control. Likewise, cooking rituals and memory journaling engage your body and senses, anchoring abstract insights in concrete experience. Research on expressive writing and embodied practices underscores their efficacy. Studies show that letter writing to internal figures increases self-compassion and reduces anxiety, 72% improvement in one survey, while sensory-based rituals enhance emotional regulation and resilience. These outcomes aren't mere anecdotes, but measurable shifts in mood, stress levels, and self-reported well-being. Moreover, the incremental nature of these techniques, small boundary exercises, brief nightly reflections, quick journal prompts, ensures you never overwhelm yourself. Each step offers immediate feedback, a calmer inner dialogue, fewer anxious dreams, or a sense of agency when you politely decline unsolicited advice. This ongoing loop of action and reflection generates concrete evidence that change is happening. Ultimately, by combining cognitive reframing, embodied ritual, and dream-based check-ins, you create a holistic container for healing. Rather than leaving wounds exposed, you transform them into gateways for empowerment, reclaiming the Mother Archetype's nourishing light while gently disarming its shadow. As we draw this exploration of the Mother Archetype to a close, remember that within you resides both the warm, nurturing presence and the overprotective shadow that can limit your growth. Carl Jung's insight that archetypes dwell in our collective unconscious reminds us that these patterns are neither your fault nor your sole burden. They are inherited blueprints seeking integration. Through our journey, we've illuminated the dual nature of the mother, her light, which offers comfort, self-compassion, and resilience, and her shadow, which can manifest as smothering control, dependency, and self-doubt. Real-life cases, from Jessica's recalibrated check-ins to Michael's transformative letters, and Linda's healing cooking rituals, demonstrate that acknowledging these dynamics in waking life leads to tangible change. Our 6-step practice framework, tender letter writing to your inner mother, positive memory journaling, embodied cooking rituals, targeted self-inquiry, boundary-setting exercises, and integrative dream check-ins, provides a multi-layered approach. Each technique engages different facets of your being: the cognitive reframing of letters, the emotional resonance of recalled memories, the sensory grounding of cooking, the behavioral affirmation of boundaries, and the reflective guidance of dreams. By weaving these practices into your daily routine, you shift from unconscious reactivity to conscious allyship with your inner mother. You begin to hear her supportive whispers instead of her critical commands, nurturing yourself as fully as she once nurtured you. Over time, you'll notice a softer inner dialogue, greater confidence in your decisions, and dreams that reflect harmony rather than tension. Embracing this archetypal work is an act of self-compassion and empowerment. It acknowledges the legacy of maternal care and reclaims it on your own terms, transforming inherited patterns into deliberate sources of strength. As you continue this path, you cultivate a balanced internal environment where self-nurturing flows as naturally as the love that first shaped you. As we bring our deep dive into the Mother Archetype to a close, I want to leave you with a few invitations that will help cement this work and keep the transformation alive. First, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Which exercise resonated most deeply with you? The letter to your inner mother, the positive memory journaling, the ritual cooking, the boundary setting, or the dream check-ins. Maybe you discovered a long-buried feeling of suffocation in your kitchen dream, or perhaps the act of writing that first compassionate letter surprised you with its power. Whatever sparked your curiosity or brought relief, I encourage you to share that moment in the comments below. When you describe your experience, what you wrote, cooked, or set as a new boundary, you not only reinforce your own commitment, but you may also inspire someone else who's still searching for a way forward. Next, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Each week, we explore practical Jungian tools for healing inner archetypes, whether it's working with the mother, embracing the shadow, or discovering the wisdom of the anima and animus. By subscribing, you ensure you won't miss our upcoming episodes, and you become part of a community dedicated to deep self-awareness and authentic living. To support you further, I've linked 3 free resources in the description. Inner Mother Letter Template, a fill-in-the-blanks version of today's letter exercise so you can get started right away. Positive Memory Journal Sheet, a printable grid for recalling and reflecting on your cherished maternal moments. Ritual Cooking Checklist, a step-by-step guide to transform any recipe into a healing ritual. Download these tools, print them out if you like, and tuck them into your journal or kitchen drawer. Make tonight's dream check-in the first item on your morning agenda, and watch how small, consistent actions begin to reshape your inner landscape. Now, looking ahead. In our next video, we'll turn our attention to the Shadow Mother, the hidden, often unrecognized aspects of maternal influence that can stifle creativity, perpetuate perfectionism, or fuel people-pleasing. We'll examine real stories of artists and entrepreneurs who confronted this shadow, and we'll offer targeted exercises, artistic expression prompts, guided visualizations, and boundary experiments that will help you integrate the Shadow Mother's gifts without succumbing to her demands. Whether you feel driven to do just one more thing, or struggle with the perpetual need for external approval, this upcoming session will give you the clarity and confidence to reclaim your creative spark and set healthier limits. Before I sign off, here's one small practice you can start tonight. After you've recorded your dreams and completed any memory or cooking exercise, ask yourself, what is one compassionate phrase I can tell myself in the morning to honor my inner mother? It could be as simple as, I am capable of caring for myself, or my needs matter as much as anyone else's. Write that phrase on a sticky note and place it on your mirror or fridge. Let it greet you first thing, reminding you that the nurturing voice you seek has always lived within you. Finally, remember that healing the Mother Archetype is not a one-and-done event. It's a lifelong dialogue. Some days you'll feel the warm embrace of her light, and other days the shadow may still whisper doubts. That's okay. True integration means welcoming both aspects, offering patience when you falter, and celebrating your progress no matter how small. Every time you honor a boundary, savor a nurturing ritual, or listen to your dream's guidance, you affirm your right to self-care and self-respect. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the Mother Archetype. I'm honored to walk alongside you as you reclaim your inner nourishment and autonomy. Be sure to share your insights below, subscribe for more Jungian wisdom, and get ready for our next exploration of the Shadow Mother and creative liberation. Until then, may you find the balance between giving and receiving, and may your inner mother sing her song of compassion and freedom through every choice you make. Understanding this dual nature is crucial. It reveals why you may swing between self-doubt and longing for approval, or find yourself torn between nurturing others and neglecting your own well-being. The Mother Archetype is not merely a personal imprint, but a universal pattern woven through myths, fairy tales, and cultural narratives, a testament to its enduring power across time and place. By illuminating both the light and shadow of this archetype, we begin to unshackle ourselves from unconscious patterns and reclaim the capacity to nurture from within. In the following segments, we'll explore real-life examples of how the Mother Archetype manifests, and then dive into practical journaling and ritual techniques, letter writing, memory recall, even cooking rituals that empower you to transform its shadow into a source of authentic self-care. Let's embark on this path toward inner nourishment and freedom. Emotional mapping. Identify the primary emotion. warmth, suffocation, anxiety, relief, and trace how it connects to current life experiences. Key insights from these cases. Boundary recalibration. Jessica's shift from nightly calls to limited check-ins underscores the power of setting clear limits to transform overprotective patterns into healthy support. Embodied rituals. Linda's cooking exercise highlights how sensory-rich activities can reactivate buried feelings of safety, transforming abstract insights into felt experience. Recall and record positives. Each week, jot down at least 2 genuine moments of maternal support you experienced, either from childhood or symbolic gestures, and revisit them when self-doubt arises. Allow yourself to write freely, without self-censorship. When you finish, read the letter aloud, or gently fold it, and place it somewhere significant, perhaps a memory box, symbolizing your commitment to a new internal dialogue. Step 2. Positive memory journaling. Counterbalance the mother's shadow by actively recalling and reinforcing positive maternal experiences. In your journal, create a 2-column table: memory, feelings, and insights. Mom teaching me to bake cookies. Warmth, laughter, taught me that patience yields sweetness. Her hug after my first day at school. Safety, encouragement, I learned I am brave. What self-nurturing act can I choose today to honor my own needs?